How in the heck do we stop this early release and stop flipping this golf club as we come into contact here? Well, one of the keys is, which I'll go over in some really good detail in this video, most of the time when players lean the shaft forward, what happens is if I don't change the angles of my wrist and I lean the shaft forward, look at the face, it's wide open. So if I lean the hands forward and I don't use my wrist properly, I'm gonna end up blocking out to the right. When I make a swing, that's not gonna be any good. So what do we do to hit a good shot? We end up flipping it to square up the face. So if I kind of flip to square up the face, it's gonna look something a lot like this. I'm gonna fall back on my right side. I'm gonna try to help the ball up in the air. And I'm just gonna flip it. So that was kind of a low shooter off there. Not really a good swing. Not very much swing speed, even though I felt like I was really pushing hard with my right hand. Well, let me get into detail exactly how you square up the face in a minute, but let me talk about one of the core concepts behind this that's making it so tempting to fall back and push with that right hand. And that's the idea that all good players hit the ball high. We've heard it all before. We look at pro players, we see guys on the PGA Tour, if you go and watch them, and the ball just rockets up in the air, super, super high. It's carrying a mile and it looks fantastic. We really want to do that. So what happens is, a lot of times in an effort to hit it high and to get that look of what a pro player is doing, we start to flip and actually add some loft to this golf club. That makes the loft of the club face higher when the shaft is leaning back. That's kind of that early released high club face or high lofted club face, and the ball takes off kind of at a similar trajectory of what it feels like the pros are doing. Now in reality, that's actually not what the pros are doing at all. They're actually doing the opposite of that. What the pros are doing is they're actually de-lofting this club. They're taking the natural loft, say 26, 27 degrees on this 4-iron, or maybe 25 degrees, it just all depends on the set that you have. And they're turning that down until it loses about 30% of the loft on this face. So getting that 4-iron to have the loft under 20 degrees at impact, this forward shaft lean, that release out in front. So why is the golf ball going so daggone high when you look at the pros? It's just because they're swinging hard. That ball takes off pretty low. Their launch angle is pretty low, but it goes up and up and up because the ball just keeps on going and going. And it gives you that visual that the ball is flying very high in the air. When you go home and you try to recreate that, then what happens is you flip to get that same visual. So that's the big key. Number one, if you don't have as much swing speed, you actually want to have that ball look like it's taking off low and penetrating. That's what's going to allow you to give the same impact characteristics of what the pros are doing. It's also going to deliver more ball speed into the ball. As I take loft off, now I'm getting more energy from that club into the golf ball. The ball is going to take off faster. It's going to fly a little bit farther, and then it's also going to be able to give you a little bit more roll when the fairways are firm and that kind of thing. What I've found is not that many players hit it over the green. It's not too big of a deal. If you de-loft the club, you hit it solid, it's hit well, it's still going to hold the green for the majority of the cases. So don't worry about the ball being a little bit low. You'll play better even with a lower ball flight. So let's put this to the test. I'm going to hit a 4-iron here. I'm going to de-loft it, and now let's see how high it goes. And let's just look at the impact dynamics here on my flight scope. So here I'm going to go ahead and swing hard at this one and really compress it. There we go. So that one swung pretty hard. I'm guessing my 4-iron swing speed is around 100 miles an hour, somewhere around there. My dynamic loft, so that was a super de-lofted shot. I really got some forward shaft lean on there. I carried the ball 207, so I missed it. It hit a little off the heel, wasn't the best swing ever. Swing speed was 100.7. If I look at my dynamic loft, so how much loft I had on the club face, 16.9 degrees, really de-lofted that club. But because I swung fast, the height was 101 feet, which is actually pretty high. That, in your eye, that looks like a pretty high shot. I can get them to go even higher than that at times. If I hadn't hit it a little thin and off the heel, it would have gone even higher. So my point there is, this club naturally has mid-20s loft. I'm de-lofting all the way down to 16. The only reason I'm seeing that higher ball flight is because I'm swinging fast. If you're not swinging very fast, you want to get that lower ball flight. That ought to be in your mind's eye, the trajectory that you're trying to see. That's going to allow you to stop that early release. Now let's learn how to do it. Now that we're looking for that lower ball flight, we're not kind of self-sabotaging. How do we actually get the shaft leaning forward? How do we stop the early release? It all comes back to what I talked about in the beginning of the video, squaring up that face. So if I naturally lean my hands forward and I don't change my wrist angle, so my right wrist and left wrist both stay pretty neutral, my face is wide open. I need to rotate this shaft until my face is squared. When I look at my right wrist when I do that, I'm going from a palm up position. I'm rotating my knuckles back until they feel like they're kind of back toward my elbow. That takes this club from what feels really comfortable, to be honest, to where it feels kind of tight in my right wrist. That's completely natural. That's what you should be feeling. And now you see how that club face is square. Same thing here. I get that forward shaft lean, the face is open. Now I'm going to rotate my wrist until the face is square and my right wrist is angled back like that. I want to feel like the palm of my right hand is facing down toward the ground. Again, it's going to feel tight on all these muscles that are going on the back of my forearm there. That's completely natural. So try a swing where you go ahead and pause at impact. We want to see that square club face, and you want to feel a little tension on the back of your right forearm. Let's go ahead and try another one out here, and we'll see what the swing speed and the distance was. So that was a great one there. So that one looks to my eye to be very high. I hit it center of the club face. It went pretty far. I'm guessing the swing speed is about the same. Let's see what those numbers ended up being. All right, so we're gonna see on that one, the club head speed, 102.9, so maybe just a 1 or 2 miles an hour faster, not much difference there. If I look at my carry distance, that one I hit dead on the screws, 224, not gonna do any better than that. If I look at my dynamic loft though, remember this 4-iron is kind of mid-20s. I'm taking that all the way down below 20. It's 19.4 on that one, so still a very low loft, but if I look at the height, 124 feet. That's because I hit that one dead solid right on the sweet spot and it just kept going up. The launch angle, which was, where it came out from the ground, 14.1 degrees, so very low launching. The same launch about what a well-hit driver would be, but it's just you're seeing the up and up and up of the ball flight because it's transferring a lot more energy into the ball, number one, and I'm swinging a little bit faster. So if you're swinging slower than that, that's completely fine. You just want to visualize a much lower penetrating ball flight. Let me give you an example of that. If I was going to go out and play really good golf with, say, an 80 mile an hour 4-iron swing speed, I'm going to do the exact same swing. I'm going to hit this one really solid, but let's see what happens to the overall look of the ball flight when I do this. Let me swing a little bit slower here. So that one looked to be about half the height. I had forward shaft lean. It felt pretty solid, slightly off the toe, but definitely well within play. It would be kind of left center of the green. Pretty good shot overall. My swing speed went from 103 miles an hour. That one was 90, so a little bit faster than I was trying to go there. My carry distance was still all the way up to 188. So that ball went pretty daggone far considering my swing speed. My dynamic loft, or how much loft I had on there, again, 15.6, lots of forward shaft lean, but it was a well-hit shot. The height was only 71 feet. So there's the difference. That's the dichotomy. That's the issue that a lot of players are having. They're saying, I want to hit the ball high, but I also want to get rid of my flip and my forward shaft lean. You can't have both. If you want to hit the ball solid, if you want to be consistent, if you want to play well, I have to take loft off this club. If I want to hit high, now I just need to boost up my swing speed. I also have something that's fantastic for that. That's one of the most important things you can do is boost your swing speed. That way you can have the best of both worlds. I can take this right wrist, get my knuckles back, really get rid of my flip and get my release out in front, but then I can also add swing speed to it. Well, this is where the swing speed is so important. I had a player email me this morning talking about how Roberto Francisco, I think his name was, swinging 81 miles an hour on average when he got fit just a few weeks earlier. He's carrying it about 175. He went through the 3-week, 20-minute distance fixed course, and he started testing his swing speeds. He's averaging now 101 miles an hour, 20 miles an hour faster in just 3 weeks. And he had a few drives that went over 125 yards farther, which is pretty crazy, but not that crazy when you think about the average results of this course are 13.5 miles an hour gained and about 35 yards on the best drives gained in just that 3 weeks. So tremendous results from Roberto. It's awesome. And just the average results we're seeing in this course are phenomenal. That's the only way you can get the best of both worlds. So number one, in this video, work on compressing that golf ball, work on de-lofting that club, getting rid of that forward shaft lean by having the right wrist to square the club as you lean the shaft forward. And then number two, we gotta add speed to it. The best way to add speed, the power turn is the best place to start with that. That's one of the things that I go over in the 20-minute distance fix course. I'm gonna give it to you here right now, give you instant access to the video, one of my best power turn videos. I'm gonna talk about how to really get a lot more swing speed through contact when you follow this drill. All you need to do is go ahead and click the link in the card that pops up on the screen. If you don't see those cards, click the link down below in the description. You'll get instant access to that video and you'll start adding swing speed. Now we're gonna put them both together. You're gonna have hard hit, compressed, consistent golf shots that also fly high in the air. Let's go and get started. At least 90 degrees with the shoulders as you swing to the top. Preferably, we can go even a little bit past 90 to really get loaded up. That's gonna allow us to have a lot of power. So we don't just have to look at golf for this. Let's actually look at other sports. They're rotating their body, then they're coming forward. So we have to get that load. We have to get this big shoulder turn to be able to create power in the golf swing. So in this series of videos, I'm gonna show you exactly how to do that. That's one of the first keys to getting power, and we're all gonna get at least a 90-degree turn, if not more than that. I think you'll be surprised at what you can do. So let's go ahead and get started with the next series of videos, and I'm gonna show you how to get this big, powerful turn. All right guys, so before we go, let's take a look at this in action with some of the top pros. Now here we're looking at Adam Scott, and you're gonna see as he rotates to the top, good full shoulder turn. This is pretty typical of what I see with the top pros, a little past 90. Those guys are working on their flexibility, so sometimes they can get to 100 or even 110 degrees.